The sixth schedule of the Constitution was conceptualized as a means to confer constitutional safeguards to the customs, language, practices, and traditions of the different tribes in the state of Assam. Over a period of time, the fixed schedule has been extended to areas far beyond the original plan. The people of Ladakh are now agitating for the sixth schedule to be extended to the region. Justice B.L. Hansaria's book titled Sixth Schedule of the Constitution is a veritable guide to this important constitutional provision. The sixth edition of the book came out in early 2025. Justice B.L. Hansaria's son, Mr. Vijay Hansaria, who is a senior advocate in the Supreme Court, has edited and updated the book. The sixth edition of the book contains a new chapter which is on Ladakh. It looks at the historical background of Ladakh and also looks at the struggles of the Ladakhis for a greater say in the democratic process. We have Mr. Vijay Hansaria with us to talk about Ladakh's democratic history and also the agitation that we are witnessing right now for statehood and for the sixth schedule to be implemented in the region. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. In the beginning, if I may ask you about the significance of the sixth schedule when we look at the diversity in our country and
Schedule now is an unique provision under the Indian Constitution, and it was visualized for a very important reason. It was made applicable, as you've said in the beginning, to the northeastern states. At that time, Assam was unified Assam. What today is Arunachal, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Nagaland were all part of one Assam. And at that time, it was felt Assam can be classified in two broad categories, Plains Division and the Hills Division. The Plains Division had about 25% of the area, but 80% population. Hills Division has about 75 to 80% of the area, but 20% population. And in a democracy, it is the number which matters. It is the population which matters. So our founding fathers, more particularly Gopinath Bordoli, who was then the premier of Assam, thought how to maintain the tribal autonomy. And the tribal groups were also varied. There are no similarity. We cannot call it one tribe. There were different tribes in that part of the country. So they thought that we must give tribal autonomy. And it was sought at a mechanism to tribal autonomy. So the district councils were constituted under the sixth schedule, which has lawmaking power. And their law on certain subjects, which are given in paragraph 3 of the sixth schedule, right, use of land, inheritance, custom, village administration, medical, basic health, cattle pound, are given to the district councils. And once they make law on that, state law does not apply. So they have maintained a tribal autonomy by way of sixth schedule. And that's how it is grown. It was conceptualized and incorporated in the Constitution.
So, do you think there is a need to revisit the sixth schedule to sort of enhance the ambit in terms of the region that it is applicable to? Because we have demands coming from Gorkha land in West Bengal and now Ladakh as well. So, is there a need to revisit the sixth schedule and to take it beyond the northeastern states?
See, I will not call it revisit. In this sense, it was where the state population or the population of a particular geographical area within the state are not assimilation with the main state regional, because our states have been after 1957 are on the basis of the linguistic pattern, because after before that it was not linguistic, it is linguistic. So for example, in West Bengal, as you see it in Gorkha land, the linguistic, because the Gorkhas are in Gorkha land area, Darjeeling and adjoining area, but rest of this west of West Bengal is a Bengali dominated area. So they don't have a say in the state administration. That's how Gorkha land also demanded a separate tribal autonomy. Similarly, it was extended initially in the northeast, in the Assam, Greater Assam, as I will call it. It was not, Tripura was then a union territory under the 1950. It was extended to Tripura. Now today, Tripura has one district council which cover the tribal areas, and we say about 67% of the geographical area of Tripura is covered by the district by the sixth schedule. So there is no reason why it should not be. And different in Assam also, the Bodoland has come. They have been remaining because Bodo people also have a tribally different different way of living, different cultures, etc. within the Assam. So they're part of Assam, but then they have a tribal autonomy. So the Bodoland has come. Similarly, in other states, it can be extended. It was demanded in Gorkhaland. There is a Susma Swaraj committee, but then it did not further materialize. And today there is no such, there's a different views within Gorkhaland whether the sixth schedule should be there or not there.
Your book has a separate chapter on Ladakh, the sixth edition of the book.
Before I go to sixth schedule, I'd like to say little history of Ladakh. Ladakh was, as you know, is a Buddhist population area. That's what we believe. But Ladakh has two basic regions. One is Leh area, one is Kargil area. Kargil area is Muslim majority area, and the Leh area is Buddhist majority area. But both of them has scheduled tribes, most of the people. And it was a part of, till 2019, it was a part of state of J&K, but state of J&K had nothing common with Ladakh, in the sense that Ladakh was historically at Buddhist areas. In 1834, Jorawar King Dogra kingdoms, he invaded Ladakh and became part of Jammu and Kashmir. And since then, it was part of Jammu and Kashmir. But since 1834, it was never given democratic right. Though Praja Mahasabha, we had rulers, we had kings earlier. Similarly, in Jammu and Kashmir, we had Maharajas. But 1834 Maharaja, there was a J&K constitution. There was a Praja Mahasabha constituted. But so far as Ladakh area is concerned, it was given to the king to nominate. So Ladakhi people were deprived of their democratic right, which was given to other part of Jammu and Kashmir, which is Jammu area and Kashmir area. And for the first time, when the Constituent Assembly of J&K was constituted in 1957, first time they got a representation, elected representation in the state assembly. 51, the J&K Legislative Assembly was constituted. Then they made a constitution. Then in 57, it was the Act Jammu and Kashmir Constitution. There, for the first time, two members had the right to a democratic right of any sort to be elected to be in the state legislative assembly. So definitely democracy, we say we're the biggest democracy. Democracy is not only by the bigger numbers, smaller number of people must also have a say. That's how it, till 1957, there was no democracy, I will say, in the real terms for the Ladakhi people, and they were agitated about it.
So it was in 1957 that they, for the first time, they got elected representation in
Two
the
members only in the state legislative assembly.
So it was a long wait for the.
It was a long wait. It was a historical wrong. I have written in my book, which was remedied in for the first time in 1957. Under the government of India, 1935, we had about 11 what is called provincial legislatures in different parts of the country. But then Jammu and Kashmir was, before that there was a Jammu and Kashmir constitution. There was a Praja Mahasabha in 1934. But then so far as Ladakh area is concerned, they were nominated by the Maharaja. They were not elected people. For the rest of the Jammu and Kashmir, they were elected people.
Even in 1949, the Buddhist Association of Ladakh had sent a memorandum to Prime Minister Nehru and also the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir demanding democratic rights of self-governance. And they also spoke about how they were distinct in terms of their culture, traditions, and language compared to the rest of Jammu and Kashmir. So, do you feel that this tagging along of Ladakh with Jammu and Kashmir for such a long time was actually a natural kind of blending of or an attempt to blend the
See, there was no blending as such with the Jammu and Kashmir region, is because if you see Ladakh area is totally different. Their topography is different, the terrain is different, their people's way of life is different, their culture is different. So maybe they were part of Jammu and Kashmir. That's why in 1949 they gave the representation. And perhaps that is the result why they got two elected representatives in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly constituency, in the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, which is different from the Constituent Assembly of India. And they got two representatives in that. That was the starting of the demand for the democratic rights officially, which was fructified in 1951 and 57 finally when the two elected members came to the state assembly. And that was rightly demanded by them.
The Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council Act was enacted in 1995, and this happened after protests in Ladakh since 1989 for greater autonomy because they did not have enough representation in the assembly. That was the predominant feeling. Um, and this act, which was passed in 1995, provided for constitution of the Autonomous Hill Development Council. Uh, in your view, has this council been able to meet any of the aspirational or developmental or governance needs of the Ladakhis?
But I don't think so, because unless you have the lawmaking power, district collector is the head of the council. Municipal councils like that. We have a Delhi metropolitan councils. You have elected representatives, but ultimately who takes the decision? The government, the state government. Policy, unless you give the power at the top to take policy decisions. Policy decisions are taken by the state government at the state level, union government at states on the federal subject by the union government. So they are implementing authority. Implementing authority don't get, though we have municipal councillors. Again, it will not be satisfied. Suppose can we have municipal council all over the country, not the state government? It's something like that. So that's why partially yes, there was a movement. Partially yes, because so far as municipal administration is concerned, it has gone to the Ladakh Development Area Councils. Initially, it was one in Leh, then it was extended in Kargil also. There were two. But ultimately, all the laws, all the enforcements are with the bureaucrats and under the control of the state government. So that has not met fully partially, yes, there's some agitation, you give something and that implemented. But if the collector is the head of an organization, ultimately everything flows from there.
So in 2019, the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act was enacted and Article 370 was abrogated. How has this impacted the political representation of Ladakhis?
Well, it has, whatever representation they have, it has been taken away. They had 4 MLAs in the state assembly, which had perhaps 100 or 80 to 90 MLAs. They had 4 MLAs. Today, at the state level, you don't have any MLA. On the state subject, you don't have any say. There was Rajya Sabha members, which can be from any area. You don't have any Rajya Sabha representation from the UT of Ladakh. You had Lok Sabha members. We have one Lok Sabha member. So today, in the name of democracy in the country, Ladakh has only one member of parliament in Lok Sabha. That's all. So what is when Jammu and Kashmir area can have UT with legislature, why not Ladakh have UT with legislature? They had legislature, limited number of MLAs, but they had legislature. There was no security threat. In any event, defense, foreign affairs, uh, monetary considerations, finance funds, etc., are a central subject on which no state government has any say. To say that it has a lot border with the Chinese or other parts of the world or Afghanistan or Pakistan is no ground to reject. Similar in the Northeast, we have borders with the Arunachal, Mizoram, Tripura, with other countries which are not the friendly countries, but we have state government, they're functioning. Why do you think that if local people are elected, it is a national, there is something security threat? No, it is not. They will feel part of the country, in fact. So it was again, according to me, there was no reason as such, mainly because the population is about 3 lakh. So you can have a population, you can have a state assembly with 3 lakh people. You can further reduce it. You can certain subjects which are in the state list, you may not give it. Concurrent subjects, you may not give it. But then there is no reason to deprive people, merely because you are small in your number. That's not correct, according to me.
And in what way is it also posing challenges, in terms of governance for Ladakh, not having a state legislature
In terms of revenue, in
in
terms of
governance?
see, expenses again, that's again I'm saying if you have a small number of people, you don't take away their rights because we are small number of people. And that's why Sixth Schedule, each tribal areas under the northeast, which were at that point of time eight, perhaps eight district councils, which has about in thousands. Each district council has a population in thousands. You have created. That's what the people are demanding. It's an autonomy within the state. You have an autonomous state within the state of Assam, Meghalaya in 1969. It was a unique thing created. Today also in the district councils in Northeast, you have different powers to different district councils. For example, in Assam there are three. So each three has much more power than the district councils in the other states. In Meghalaya, there are tailor-made districts. There may be one district, one sixth schedule, but then they are all tailor-made. For Maharashtra, for Tripura, it is different. For Meghalaya, it is different. For Mizoram, it is different. For Assam, it is different. So it can be customized. Whatever is little adjustments has to be done. So you can't say that we don't give a democratic right to a certain section of the people. May not be fair.
So, do you feel that because of the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, the people of Ladakh are, kind of now upset and are demanding? I mean, that there's this intensification of this demand for a separate state and also for sixth schedule to be implemented in that region.
See, I don't think with the reorganization they were upset. In fact, if I read it, with the reorganization they were very happy because they got a independent status. Because otherwise, they are part of Jammu and Kashmir. Out of 80 MLAs, they had 4 MLAs, and that their voice was. But they celebrated it. But over a period of time, it is found is we have only one member of parliament out of 542 members in the Lok Sabha. Where is their voice? It can't be heard. They wanted a say in it, and that's how perhaps they became agitated and started demanding more autonomy. And today, see, we must understand that the Ladakh and Delhi or rest of the country is completely different terrain, completely different. We may see a lot of snow, but there is no water. We can see a lot of hills, but there is no trees. I come from northeast. I can't imagine a hill without tree. Hills means green. Wind means pleasant, but then the wind means very, very intense cold. People can't survive. You require new areas. Again, how many people in Delhi would have concern about 3 lakh people when we are 140 crore people? Their demands are unique. Demands are separate. It does not match with the rest of the country. So they want that our whatever problems we have, which are peculiar to our region, must be solved locally. And if we have local power, again, as I said, you have to have a power of decision making, not implementation. Till you form the government, you have the power to make laws, you have the power to dictate, you have the power to distribute funds, utilize funds for the betterment of that area. People don't see that their voices are heard, their problems are solved. And that's why perhaps it has intensified more and more over a period of time.
So, is Ladakh a fit case for sixth schedule to be implemented in that region?
Definitely, it's an area which must come under Sixth Schedule. And it is a unique area where Hindus and Muslims, Kargil is Muslim dominated area where 80% population is Muslim. Leh is Buddhist dominated area where 80%, but then they are unitedly fighting for demanding Sixth Schedule. This is again a message in the country. Unfortunately, we are not Hindus and Muslims. There are some divisions are there, but in the Ladakh, both Hindus and Muslims, both are 80% scheduled tribes as per the scheduled tribe commission. There are 80% people, and they also recommended it should be under the sixth schedule. So there are expert bodies, constitutional bodies, which are demanding, and I don't see any reason not to grant this the benefit of sixth schedule. And somebody asked, it's a fifth schedule, sixth schedule. Fifth schedule is there are a lot of tribal areas which are only again advisory committees. You don't have the law-making powers. You don't have a separate administration which you only control. That is under the sixth schedule only. And what was conceptualized in 1950 for the tribal areas of Assam is perhaps today valid for the Ladakh area.
And how do you look at this demand for sixth schedule by the Ladakhis in terms of the constitution and also the the legal provisions.
It matches with the constitutional philosophy. You have to see why sixth schedule. The first question you ask, why sixth schedule? And I've answered, it is a different philosophy. Somebody people say expenses, financially it may not be viable, but then we don't go anything about the finance. We are a small part of the country. It's an important part of the country. Every corner of part of the country is important, but smaller numbers you don't know. In a democracy, majority rules, but minority has to be looked into in all. I don't say religious minority in the tribal population, minority, linguistic minority, or you have a cultural minority. The test is whether all have satisfied demand of all people have been met in a democratic setup.
The government's view is that the sixth schedule was conceptualized for northeastern states, and if you want to extend it to other regions, you will have to amend uh, the constitution. So
It will require a constitutional amendment, but it will require only sixth schedule amendment. They have extended to Tripura. It was never conceptualized that it will have a Tripura. But Tripura, again, the tribal people in Tripura felt that their voices are not heard. There again, the population was less, area was more. Other part of Tripura, the linguistically, Bengalis were more populated, but in a lesser area. Again, if you have an assembly of 100 people and you have only 10 people or 5 people from that area because delimitation is done on the basis of population, as certain in the last preceding census. That is the basis of number of constituencies, and the constitution also says you should have the same number of people in each constituency. So if you have a lesser number of people, does it mean that voices will not be heard? So it was conceptualized, yes, because that was the peculiar demand at that area. Today also, it has been peculiar demand. And according to me, there was no reason to give without a legislative assembly. But if without a legislative assembly, definitely this is. And if you see historically, all the areas which were under the sixth schedule slowly has become a state. Arunachal was a sixth schedule area, became an union territory, became a state. Mizoram was part of sixth schedule. It became a union territory, then became a state. Nagaland was a part of sixth schedule, later became a state. Meghalaya was a part of sixth schedule, later became state. Full-fledged, they're functioning. We don't have any problem, except regional areas. Manipur is a different thing. Manipur was never a part of sixth schedule. That's a different thing. But other sixth schedule areas have become broadly state, and they're as much part of our country. They have as much and many responsible MLS as any other part of the state country. So there is no reason it should not be extended.
you mentioned security reasons. The government says, the proximity of Ladakh with Pakistan and China would want them to move cautiously with regard to administrative and governance
It's an
issues.
important thing. But security is manned by the defense forces of the country under the government of India. Borders are manned by Border Security Force, Indian Army. So why do we presume that if there is a sixth schedule, it does not have a correlation at all with the security of the country, with the defense of the country, with the border areas of the country? It does not affect. Sixth schedule only give you power to make laws on land, on your customs, on your inheritance, on village administration, primary healthcare, cattle pound. So you have a unique problem, you will find solution to that problems, and that's all the sixth schedule does. It does not take away the powers of the state government or the central government particularly in any way.
The government has also suggested Article 371 like protection for Ladakh. How do you look at that in terms of the demand which is being made by the Ladakhis?
See, Article 371 has A, B, C, D, E, A, B for different states, different provisions. So today it is a union territory. What extra you will give? I haven't seen any specific provision for being made for union territory. They don't have an assembly. What special you will give? They don't have a governance. In this sense, they don't have elected representative except one member of parliament in Lok Sabha. So there is special provisions are given for Andhra Pradesh, for various states, depending on the local requirement. But here, I don't think 371 like provision would be of any assistance for so far as Ladakh is concerned. Because it is not a union territory with assembly. It has an assembly, then you get some special status, special power, special recognition. All that the Ladakhi people give us representation in the governance. That's all. start with a limited thing, see how we live, and then think it further.
In the end, I want to ask you about something you wrote in the book. You've said that it is high time that the historical wrong that was done to the people of Ladakh should be, remedied now, rectified now.
As I given historically, Ladakh was annexed to Jammu and Kashmir by force. Jorawar Singh was the commander under Dogra kingdom, annexed it by force. They assimilated, they went it. And Jammu and Kashmir people, it was a part of Jammu and Kashmir till 2019. Jammu and Kashmir people, other than Ladakh, were given representation in 1934. Ladakhi people were not given in 19. And one more thing, there was no election to the Lok Sabha till 1962 from Jammu and Kashmir. 52 election, 57 election, 57. Thereafter, it was only for the first time in 67, Ladakh had a democratic representation at the national level. At 57, for the first time in the state, we had a Government of India Act, we had provincial legislatures. For the kingdoms, we had, for Jammu and Kashmir, Praja Mahasabha, 1934, 1937. But then they were said that all these are territorial, some expressions were used. So far as people from that area will not be elected, it will be nominated by the Maharaja. Definitely it was historical wrong. And it's the right time that we correct it today. And that's my view.
And the way to do it would be to heed the demand of the Ladakhi people.
But it's a very small demand. I don't see, I have not got any reason why it should not be. And how come any Indian country's interest would be paramount, would be affected by such a provision being there? I would, speaking for myself, I thought that once we have bifurcated a duly constituted state into two parts, there definitely reorganization of states have been happening. In Uttarakhand was born, Chhattisgarh was born, Jharkhand was born, reorganization of state, Haryana was born, Himachal was born. Nobody's right to have a democratic representation at the state level was taken away. This is for the first time. Of course, there are some union territories which does not have, or Chandigarh does not have. They're different things. But you had elected representative at the state level, and in the reorganization, you take away their right. No, it was not correct, and it has not happened in the country. That we have Reorganization Act since 1957 onwards, various times. But anybody who had an electoral right at the state level, the rights have not been taken away. It's all been bifurcated for administrative convenience reasons. So,
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
thank you.